Okay, it is November 21st, 2023. We're at the auditorium. This is the Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation Commission, our regular November monthly meeting. It's 6:06 p.m. And have a roll call, please. Sorry. Carissa Litherland is here.
Carissa Litherland here.
Jonathan
Tigan here.
Mark Ingram.
Ruth Gubenhager.
Rod Gray here.
Sam Dudley.
Okay. Beth is missing tonight. She is excused. And we have a vacancy, and that's everyone, right? And we have a quorum, which is for me. Right, 1, 2, no, we really do have a quorum now.
Yeah.
Okay, without me, good. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
It's Mark, do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's Jonathan, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The agenda is approved. Public comments. First, I see Sue out there.
Sue Hubbard, Eureka Springs. And heavy equipment can do a lot of damage to our environment. It can kill plants, damage trees, run over animals, especially if they're eggs. It disturbs the soil, so it can create a lot more erosion. So it can be really a bad thing. And I was really kind of upset during the time of the dredging to realize there was actually only a small portion of Leatherwood Creek within the park that didn't get heavy equipment run over it during that time. So I'd really like to make a suggestion that in future parks makes it policy before it takes heavy equipment into natural areas, that it does some planning and thinks about it and really makes an effort to limit the size of impact where heavy equipment is going to be, and not have it be in any area where it doesn't need to. And it can take more work for the heavy equipment operators, but it really is beneficial for the environment, and it's something I think that in natural areas should happen. Second, Sam, I really want to thank you for making staff available to deal with the bush honeysuckle that was found. I really appreciate your quick response to that and that we were able to get things done. And I appreciate the amount of invasive plant work that you are doing and your responsiveness to that. I know that you cannot do everything that is out there, but one thing I would hope that parks will take on is to make sure that parks activities are not the source of the spreading of weeds. And particularly where you create bare ground, it's very often non-natives will move in. And it would be a real shame for parks to be exacerbating the situation. And so I'm really hoping that around the dredging, there was a lot of bare dirt, that you and your staff will take that on and make sure, we won't know till the spring, but make sure that it doesn't become the source of the spread or increase of the number of invasives out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I always appreciate your public comments being succinct and organized. Thank you, really. Some people don't, they stand there and they just ramble. Appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, what's next? Chairperson's comments. I don't really have any right now. I think I'll just skip me, go straight to Sam.
Yes, thank you, Sue. It's been another busy and productive month for us at Parks. Christmas lights are actually on as of today. Just a couple little glitches. Planer Hill is just not cooperating, so we're not sure. I'll call Public Works in the morning and see if there's something we can do about it. But other than that, it all looks pretty good. There's things we're going to modify and add, as we get closer to Christmas, but the initial installation's done, so.
I'm just in the park, Basin Park looks great.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
It looks really, really good.
Yeah. Those big reindeer are kind of...
They
look cheesy when they're not lit up, but when they get lit up, you're like, that's kind of cool.
But the whole thing looks really good, and all around.
Have you guys ever seen Harry Potter? His Patronus, the big stag. It reminds me of that. And the Christmas tree, obviously, we're waiting to light up till December 2nd, I believe, which is when we have the big official opening. So that's why the tree isn't lit up yet. But yeah, we'll get all that stuff wrapped up and kind of hone in the last details as we get closer to Christmas. The dam walkway grand opening was great. I saw a couple of y'all there, Mark and Chris, separately, of course, yeah. It was a big success, and, you know, it was really cool just being able to walk across the dam again, and it feels safer, which, I mean, I know is obvious, like, of course it feels safer, but it's one of those things you don't expect to feel.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, it does feel safer. It feels much better walking across the dam. So, if you guys haven't had a chance yet, go out there and
And
check
we
it
could
out.
not have a more perfect day, like,
Oh, yeah, it
like
was
the
awesome.
stars aligned that day for that.
It was
to
great.
happen. It was great.
Of course, we were bringing it up the rear because we have 2 small children, and we were by far the slowest. Yeah, then the other side of the lake where Sue had mentioned is just, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we didn't do everything perfectly, but it sure is kind of awesome being able to walk back there and have a navigable path that makes sense. So.
Absolutely.
The Eureka Trails T-shirts, I think we've already made $400. Those are donated by the Trails Committee, the old Trails Committee. So everything that we make on those is just 100% profit for parks, which is great, you know. So thank you to them. The trail maps, I actually just approved them this afternoon, so everything's good to go. They're going to start printing soon, I'm guessing this week or next week. We already got the money from CAPC, so thank you to them. So basically, you know,
These are the updated versions of
yeah,
the
the new,
rollouts.
yeah, the new edition of the trail maps that I think are, especially the downtown map is just much more detailed. I think people are going to enjoy that. But yeah, we got the money from CAPC, and then we'll basically just put that in our account and then send it right to Pocket Maps, so it all works out well. And then, yeah, I've just been working a lot on budgets and end-of-year reports and all that. And I saw in the notes today that Kim sent out that we're officially on for December 5th.
Fifth.
Yeah, at 4 o'clock. So me, you, and Beth, and Nikki. I
got
asked
that.
Nikki to be there too. So
Good. I got the invitation, so it actually added
Cool.
to my calendar.
Okay,
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
And I think that's it. Oh, dog park and skate park signs are up.
I
They
saw
look
the
nice.
skate park. I didn't see dog park, but the skate park looked really cool.
Yeah, the Bark Park one turned out well. We had the design company, Gypsy Graphics, we had them changed it from like an orange tone to more of a green, so it fits in better. And it looks just sort of perfect there. I mean, it looks like it belongs. So,
Cool.
yeah.
I remember we thought it was hard to read when we saw it, but I'm sure it's not now, easier to see.
Yeah, and when you actually are looking at it in person, it looks really nice. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Good to have a local person who can do that kind of work.
And it's good to have signs up. You know, I was looking back at some of the old surveys that have been done and things with the public, and one of the things that came up a lot over the years was signage, better signage, newer signage, better signage. So I kind of forgot about that, and I realized we have been doing good signage lately, so that's good. Okay.
Well, I hope it's good because I get made fun of a lot by my other coworkers. You know, they're like, "I'm the sign guy. Just put a sign on everything."
That's what the people want.
Yeah.
And it helps.
Think about it in a tourist town that promotes in-town trails and stuff like that. And the way some of our trails go, like you would have no idea there's a trail there unless there's a sign that tells you there's a trail there.
Yeah.
And those little maps are really handy for that too.
Yeah, sign
But if
and a
you're
map.
just local people, I mean, or tourist people walking around, and I see it, you know, being on the loop, I see people all day long, you know, you're trying to get to the crescent. And so having those trail guides, and even for me, I didn't know that's where that went. You know, like, so I think the signage is great. We should always have that.
Yeah, it's important for us to remember that most of the people in our town on any given day are not from this town, and so they have no idea where they're trying to go.
Exactly.
That's true.
Even if you're from here.
Even if you're from here,
Yeah.
you may have no idea where you're going.
Most of the time. Okay, any questions of Sam with his director's report? No? Okay, committee reports. I think, Mark, we know what the finances committee is up to.
Yeah, we're, like Sam said, we're going to work with Sam and Nikki and on a couple of things, but one, the QuickBooks thing, and then also with help sort of the budget spreadsheets and some of that to get that ready for our next big meeting.
Okay. And that's on December 5th. You've already dealt with that, so. Any other committee reports?
Only the long-range planning, I'd like to wrap that up. Do I need to contact Kim to schedule the public comments bit of the, no?
Yes,
Because we
you
were
do.
going to do that
Yes, you do. I'm
before
sorry, did I say
this
it wrong?
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
if
that it would
there's-
For
start
press,
at
for letting the
5.
press know, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah,
If
so,
there's going to be one more commissioner there, then yes. If not, then if it's just me and you, then no. But
well, I'd like to make it
we could
open.
definitely publicize
Yeah.
it. I mean, we definitely should.
Okay, I'll
But
send
we
her,
don't have to.
I'll send her an email,
Okay.
and then that would be right before this meeting, which we would then just take the public comments. And if there are not a lot, we could just approve it and incorporate that process. And if there are, then we will follow up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other committees? That's it, isn't it?
That's it.
Old business, Bigfoot contract? Same?
Yeah, so there was a contract written up concerning the Bigfoot statue, and I ran into Stephen the other day, and he, just asked me, can we just draw something up that just sort of reflects this new thing that we're doing? I guess he just feels, he would feel better about it if there was something signed. So I made something up. I put it in the commission, the support notes. Did you guys have a chance to see it? It's pretty simple.
I saw it. It's
It
simple,
is
and I have no
simple.
Yeah.
problem with it. My only question is, was that amount like a predetermined amount from the beginning?
Yes.
Or did we just come
Yeah.
up with that and go, oh, that sounds like...
No, that was an estimation or a evaluation that he put on it, from the get-go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was sort of a weird, I mean, I don't remember, I wasn't really involved with parks at that time, but from what I gather, it was sort of like, it was never intended to stay at parks forever,
Correct.
but now that it's been there so long and it's like, feels like part of Leatherwood, it feels like we can't really give it up. So
Right.
we just have to be creative in how we try to pay Stephen back for it.
You know what, just a thought, we might, because that's a 3-year thing from starting now or back, we're going to start this now, right? By 2026, right?
Correct, yeah. So like the way we're doing it in terms of the sales of the T-shirts and all that, and
Why don't we put a little money extra in the budget because just the T-shirts and stuff is not going to pay the
No.
$25,000 down. So
And part of it was like
put
we're
a little
hoping
bit
some
over
local
the
businesses-
3 years and go ahead and just get it paid for, but not all at one time.
that way it doesn't
Right.
hit us all in the same.
Just to make sure
Yeah.
that because I'd hate to go to 2026 and then go, well, we never came
Oops.
up with enough money, and
I
he has
think
the right
we
to
need a
take it.
fundraiser.
Yeah.
So we have the right to use it for a period of time. And if we want to, we can purchase it. And we've already
Basically,
got the use of
We
it.
are
basically we
purchasing it.
are purchasing it because we're selling the shirts and we're giving the money to him through the thing. So we're basically making payments through selling the shirts, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and another option, I mean, it still probably wouldn't be enough, but I mean, we could technically forego, like we could just give them 100% of the sales from the T-shirts. And that's sort of like financing over time. I mean,
Yeah.
I
But
kinda-
even still, that would not be enough
No.
to pay for this. So
Yeah.
I feel like maybe if we just put I would say maybe $5,000 a year for the next 3 years, in the budget, just to sort of chunk it out over a period of time.
I
Then
just feel
maybe-
like something like that should, it's not something we should have to pay directly. I mean, I'm trying to come up with creative ways because we have so much other stuff to do, and it's like,
Okay, well,
if it's
yeah.
a big community asset, I feel like a big fundraiser would be
And
awesome.
it's a very, very basic agreement. It gives us a lot of flexibility to
Yeah.
pay it whenever we want to. Like,
Yeah.
we can come up with all kinds of ways to do that. I think we should be, in our heads, though, be thinking about how to get that paid for, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Because it is part of Leatherwood now.
And he did value it at that price the moment he gave it to us.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's not like he just like made it up after he gave it to us. And so,
Right.
yeah.
totally get that. I just wanted to make sure that that was
Yeah.
what we knew in the beginning.
Does it have a plaque on it that says who the artist is and,
We didn't want to put it right next to it because we didn't want to
yeah?
mess with the picture opportunity, but there's a sign next to the kiosk
That
at
says
the
who
visitor
and-
center that, yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, it'd be nice if he had like his website on there. I'm not sure if that, I've kind of asked if he wanted to do something like that, and
I think
think
as
he's
long
pretty
as we
busy, but-
recognize, yeah.
yeah.
It's nice if you've got art, that you're actually
Mhm.
giving the public information about that art and the artist.
Yeah.
How long have we had it?
Since the downhills were open, so like 2018,
Oh,
they used to be located at the bottom turnaround of the
I
downhill
see.
trails.
Okay.
But then we moved it because it was like, we wanted everyone to see it, not just
Sure.
people riding trails, but
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like it was somewhere before that, too. We tried a couple different places for it. When he first brought it, we thought it was going to be very temporary, like a display. Here's your art. It's cool. It's really big, though, so I don't know why we thought it'd be temporary. It's gigantic. But, yeah, people loved taking pictures of it, and people loved it. And all. It did become so quickly part of everything. And I'm glad there's a updated contract and all that, because it started off so kind of wishy-washy. What are we doing? We don't know. From Steven's end, too. He didn't really know
Yeah.
at first. So it's nice to have it.
Yeah, and I like the way it's worded too, because if, so let's say, some weird thing happened 2 years from now, and we decided we don't want to pay for it, we don't have, he's just going to take it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, okay, well, he can come back and sue us for $25,000. No, he just takes it.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not really.
I think he does appreciate the fact that we are actually,
acknowledging it.
well, I mean, this is like the last 4 months is the first time he's ever received any sort of like
Right.
substantial payment for it. So other than the time when we fixed it, but that was to do repairs on it,
Yeah.
wasn't really for the thing. But anyway,
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Repairs?
So
What
we have
happened?
limited liability.
Yeah. that's
people
what I was
were
kinda coming
climbing
up
all
with, but
over
it
it
wasn't
to get
coming out, but
photos.
yes.
So, it wasn't really designed for that. So he took it to his shop and put like this super, it's like the stuff you put on truck bed liners.
Okay,
Coated it
gotcha.
all in that, and then, fixed a few cracks and stuff like that. And
Okay,
that way people can crawl on it. Yeah.
okay.
Cool.
Oh, good.
Or people can I shouldn't say this in public, never mind.
No. Whatever it was you were thinking, no, you're probably right.
Okay, yeah.
But no, we don't need to take any action on that, right? You just want to discuss it and tell us about it.
I mean, I feel like since it's finances, anytime like money starts getting involved, I like to get y'all's vote just because.
Well, if it
I mean, I know
makes-
we've talked about it before, but we've never.
If it makes you more comfortable, then I would say I'll move that we approve that Bigfoot contract as written.
Okay.
That's Mark, do I have a
Second.
second? It's Carissa. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Your Bigfoot contract is something, approved. Okay. Anything more on Bigfoot? New business, trail modifications. Sam, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so, when I was the trail coordinator, I had some ideas and, one of my passions is the trail systems and everything. So whenever Jeff and I started our new trails coordinator, whenever we started talking about stuff, it was kind of neat just bouncing ideas off of it. And not all of this stuff necessarily needs to happen ASAP, but there's a few things we do want to accomplish this winter that we feel like will really enhance the trail system and just kind of like the logical way that our system plays out and is laid out for the public. There's a few things that are difficult to find, or they just kind of lead you into awkward places. So, and I guess he put this in an order that I'm going to go ahead and skip. Just over to what I feel like is the things we really want to tackle this winter, and I feel like are very possible.
Do we
So-
have a new trails person?
We do, yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. And are we able to, because I know there was some of the trails that we were struggling just basic maintenance, but we're caught up now?
Yes, yeah.
Excellent.
yeah.
Okay.
It helps when it's not spring and summer and there's,
There's like weeds
Yeah.
growing like, yeah.
he's
Weeds.
been getting his workout in with the leaf blower because, you know, those things are heavy and I remember those days, pretty grueling. I'd like to just skip first to the overlook reroutes. I feel like that's the thing I'd really like to focus on first if we're going to do anything to the trail system.
The north and the south?
Yes. So the northern, I don't know, have you guys hiked Overlook?
I haven't.
Yeah.
You've been out there, Krista? Have you ridden it?
Actually, I have not, no, on that one.
Oh, Johnny.
Have I? I don't know.
See, that's always the issue with the trail stuff. I mean, it's sort of like, I'm hoping that you guys trust
Sure about this.
our judgment in terms of what's a good trail, but I also want to just point out that anything that we do, like before we do it, before we break ground on anything, we are going to do like a pass through with Stephen Dickey, and he's so good with plants and knowing what's what, and you know, we're going to like make a good point of just, you know, treading as lightly as possible.
Right.
So if there's anything like a grove of leatherwood trees or anything like that, obviously the trail will just, it ain't going through there. So, but as far as like the trail itself, I mean, it's hard to explain if you guys haven't been out there. So it's sort of like, I would hope that you would trust our judgment. So the northern section of Overlook,
Okay,
You
sort
get
of
to the
point-
actual-
Show us on the map, kind of.
Yeah.
so if you go, so north over, it's kind of weird because
Okay,
it's
yeah.
titled and then you go to the
I'm
next
on
page.
that map here,
So where that little emblem is, the icon emblem
On the left side.
on the left
on
side,
the left
yeah.
side, there,
Okay.
that's the actual overlook. That's where you like can go out and you get the view of the lake and all that.
Okay,
And it comes down and the first little part of the descent's okay, but then where that red line starts,
Right.
it's just washed out. It's dangerous. It's like, you know, it's not fun to hike. It's
so
not
is where
fun
the
to
red
bike.
line is now, where the trail is now?
No, that would be the new one.
Okay,
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Good.
And then the way he did it was he wrote it in here, and then the blue line is where the ideal path would go, but then the red one is another option. I believe is how he kind of put this together. But essentially, we just like to rework this bottom section pending, you know, sort of a NERP style review.
Yeah.
I just think it's there's so much potential there for a much better trail, and you know, it's too steep for hikers or bikes, and it's like,
right. And the trail that is existing now, we just kind of let it grow over where,
yeah, we just
block it off, not.
block it off
for a
with
while.
some debris and then just kind of let it renaturalize. So,
Okay.
I mean, I think that one's pretty obvious.
I think as long as there's, the NERP, which is what does it stand for?
Natural Resources Protection Plan.
Natural Resources Protection Plan, right. As long as that's that's followed, we're
Mhm.
checking to make sure there aren't any endangered plants and species, that we're incorporating that into the planning. I think you guys should be doing regular maintenance and potentially rerouting. I mean, it makes sense. And especially if you're talking about sustainability. Sustainability is a big deal. And there are a lot of places in the area that are very difficult for people that either have mobility issues or kids with strollers or, and it seems like we should be definitely making the park accessible for those people if we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I mean, this will still be a little bit rugged, but I mean, it's
yeah,
still
I
like,
mean, overall.
it's going to make it just a
Yeah.
much better. There's just common practices with trails that you know, just don't build on a fall line, make sure you have proper drainage, like, you know, just lots of stuff that,
I would agree with everything Chris had just said. I think that if you guys
Yeah.
just, y'all know how to do trails way better than we do. If you get Steven to go through it and you're looking at everything, you're paying attention to the things on the list of the NERP that says pay attention to, then you're doing your job.
Well, I think maybe that's a question of like, maybe we just need to reword how we do in our bylaws, like,
It's in our bylaws, you're right.
'Cause,
And
like,
it's how,
I don't
is
know.
it, well, in the bylaws, if you rename or name a trail, you have to come to the
Yeah.
commission. If you create a new trail, right?
yeah, and there's
But
even
not
something about like, if like a reroute takes it X amount of feet out of the corridor of the existing trail, I
Right.
believe is in there, but.
And I think we put that in there not too long ago, but it almost, like things like this, it doesn't seem necessary anymore. People are trained with trail, the expertise the trail people have. You have other people that you use, other companies that we've had over there, people we've had over the years. We don't have the trail expertise. We have the ability to say yes or no to the money, to the name, to think about it. But yeah, the rerouting of it, especially if it's done with the NERP and with the trail things,
Yeah.
and for reasons like this, as opposed to rerouting it because we just want to. No.
Or if you want to do this, rather than worry about changing bylaws, you want to just meet with Steve, go through what you're going to do, have a very finite, exactly what you're going to do, and the NERP thing, whatever it is, form that you're going to fill out, bring that to the next meeting, and we go, yay or nay on
Yeah.
that as it's
And then
already
we have a
done.
record.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't, that way you have it on record that we approve.
Yeah, and it's sort of
what
like-
you've got.
Which comes first, coming to you guys or coming, or getting all that. I mean, I guess it makes more sense to go through with Steven first.
Yes.
Please.
And then that way, when we know for sure we can do this, we'll present it to you guys and you say
And yeah,
yes.
we'll just, yes or no, but I.
Or you'll say no and say, get out of here, Dudley.
Yeah, or we'll say, yeah, get out of here.
Is there any cost associated, or is this just
It's just in-house
utilizing
labor.
existing?
Yeah.
This is basically trails maintenance.
And
And-
it makes sense to do it now because you'll have time during the winter season.
Except for that infrared sauna that we're going to put up there at the top. of the
Darn.
overlook. That's
Let me know when that's done, would you? So we can
Associated
check.
costs.
Can we do a workshop?
Right?
I do have a question, Sam. This is the Overlook Trail here.
Yes.
Where is the beginning and ending of it? And then this
Um,
one says Beecham, so it looks like it's the same trail if I'm looking at it.
Oh, so this is the way this particular app is laid out. So the yellow highlight is actually like a recommended route.
Okay.
So it's multiple trails on that route. So you go up and you do Overlook, and then based off that route, you would continue on that way on Beecham.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's vice versa either way, but the
Now, currently,
beginning
it comes
of,
through here.
yeah, and it ends here right now. That's where
Right
it
now is
ends.
where it ends.
Because this is
Okay.
Beecham Trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny, the yellow looks like it's all the same one, but I get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then for the south overlook, I mean, we can go over this stuff just real quick, just while we have it here, but if you guys would prefer just to have all of our ducks in a row
Well, yeah, you need to.
before doing that.
You can tell us what south.
That way you guys have an idea when we do vote. So when you go there, you park at the red gate by Beecham, like by Cabin 6.
Yeah.
So what happens is a lot of people drive into Leatherwood, they see that cool tunnel down there, like on that hairpin turn, and they're like, oh, I want to go there, that's cool, I want to go see that. And so they go and they park, and then they're like, well, I guess I just walk back on the road. And so what we're thinking is we want to construct a trail, a new portion of Overlook Trail up here that runs along the road,
Which one is this?
South Overlook reroute.
Oh, okay.
So it'll actually run on the, above County Road 204. And so when you go down there, you park and you come up to the kiosk where the map already is and you say, okay, I'm trying to get back to that tunnel, so I will walk this way. I think that'll keep a lot of people off the road and give people kind of more what they're looking for.
We'll keep them in the more.
And make
convenient
Overlook
part.
a lot shorter.
Yeah.
Because right now, to do Overlook, you kind of have to go, to do Overlook the proper way, you have to go all the way down through the campsite to Mulliday Hollow. And, it just makes the loop another half mile longer than
That
it needs
is
to be.
long, yeah.
So,
I've done that part. I haven't gone all the way up to the top. But
It's weird. It's a weird layout. And
it's confusing,
Yeah.
honestly, the bit through the campground and everything.
yeah, even with proper signage, people are still like, where do I go? How far? Like, because it's a big field, and you're like, do I have to walk all the way across that field? Like,
Right.
That's what I did. I rode my bike across it.
yeah, on a bike it's one thing, and walking it just feels like forever. Especially if it's hot outside and you're just in that open
So
field.
this would be basically creating a new trail then?
It would sort of be rerouting, it would be extending the southern portion of Overlook to connect. That said, I think what we'd like to do is, once this is completed, we'll probably end up nixing Molday Hollow Trail. Because, I mean, A, it's in a riparian zone. If we can stay away from that, that's great. It also like has a weird beginning because tucked way back there, there's no like parking or anything back there. I mean, unless you want to like have them drive by the group campsite. It's just kind of a weird layout where it is. And then also if we're planning on putting our employee facilities down at the Boneyard, which we already have some of them down there anyway, but more officially down there, it'd be nice to sort of have some privacy back there just so we're not having people walk back and looking at all the stuff we own.
And they probably don't need to be climbing around heavy equipment and tools that might
Yeah,
potentially be left
yeah,
out. That's just the
'cause-
liability exposure that's not.
Yeah, I know, like really, if you think
necessary.
about it, any kid could walk back there and like, especially if we're marking it as a trail, they're like, oh, that's cool, and then they can just hop up and jump all over our stuff, and yeah.
This would be another scenario where maybe at the beginning of the year next year, will we address a Trails Committee?
Yeah, that's the thing, it's like, it's hard for me to come to you guys without
Agreed.
going out and seeing all this
Yeah.
in person.
It might be good for us to just, we got a lot, I mean, I don't say, let's don't take anything else on this year, but
Yeah.
maybe at the beginning of next year, see if we can't
And it would be good to get
revisit that idea.
representation from all the different interested
Yeah,
parties,
it would
which
be.
will make it
It
more
would be.
difficult, but it would be good for buy-in.
And then also, like, the chairperson of that Trails Committee could do the recommendation with Sam to us on
Yeah.
these things, and it'd be a lot
Yeah,
easier to swallow probably for everybody if other
Yeah.
people are looking at it. So just put that in the back of your mind.
one thing that I think, I mean, I really hope you guys have, I'm sure you do, have enough, like, visual to know what I'm talking about, is this little loop down here below the dam.
Yeah, is that down by the
Now, if that
water?
does not need to have an environmental assessment or anything, I actually already got permission from the Corps of Engineers to build a small, like, makeshift walkway across the creek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, these trails, these proposed trails are actually
Yeah.
existing
Yeah.
access roads.
That would be a fun
That's what
one.
I'm
Yes,
talking about.
Would that
definitely.
be,
Yeah, and that loop that's on the very top right corner that
Down
we
below
read.
the dam.
Yeah.
is that both biking and walking? kind
Yeah,
of
it'd be
able
open
to
for
use?
everybody, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a trail down there.
'Cause
It's so beautiful.
pretty.
It's really
It
pretty.
is.
I've scrambled down there. It was not easy to get back up.
I have done that when the dam was closed, yes. Trying to figure out.
And that
how to get
water
over.
coming off the dam, just misting. It feels so good in summer. That'd
So
be a
this-
great trail.
This would actually take us, probably about a half mile, a third to a half mile away from the dam.
So that is actually like an extension of the existing.
But the access road's already there. Like, we would just be cleaning up an old access road, which is just covered in briars and cedars and all that. We don't need to worry
Okay.
about that too much. I promise we ain't hurting nothing down there. And like I said, I've already gotten permission from the Corps to build a small makeshift little bridge to go across the creek.
I think
And we
so.
talked about that a lot when the dam was closed, to give people the ability to make the loop that way.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have that established, so if we ever have to, God forbid, close the dam again for a minute to fix it,
Yeah.
you keep the loop intact that way.
It's a nice, just extra option, basically just an extension of Beecham Trail on either side. Like, we would just keep it as, I guess we'd just name it Beecham. I mean, because is the dam technically Beecham? I mean,
Yeah, I guess it is.
maybe we just call it Beecham, and then we call the dam
The
walkway.
damn Beecham. I saw Beecham, doesn't matter. Said
Did you say
it.
that?
damn
Yeah. Damn Beecham.
Dam Beecham.
Yes, that's good. This
But-
is, we talked about this a long time ago
Yeah, we
when you
did.
were
Yeah.
still Trails person, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I think we can probably, I think we could vote on that tonight. I mean, like, this other side of the access road portion, there's a few, like, small cedar trees that we'd have to take out, but I mean, they're like, it's in the middle of, like, this nasty
It's
cedar
basic.
grove.
Everybody
It's like,
wants to take out
yeah.
cedars.
So, I mean, I
So
don't know.
what are we
Do we need
calling
a
this,
vote?
though? I mean, we have a name that say, I move to approve the makeshift. blah, blah,
Beecham Extension. I do think it'd be cool to call
Beecham
this
Extension.
dam walkway and then, you know, have Beecham go all the way down to the creek and then back up and, you know, it's just adding a little half-mile extra loop to Beecham.
You could call it the Beecham Loop or the Dam Loop.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's call it Steve.
Steve.
Instead of Beecham, we'll just
This
call
is
it
called
Steve.
Steve. I love that. Steve. I'm for Steve.
But mostly I'm just trying to keep the ball rolling because, you know, if we need to wait to do these things, then it's kind of like,
You want to
You know,
maximize
there's stuff we
the
need to,
staff's time,
like,
downtime.
yeah.
I would emphasize with you too that I don't think we had to wait a long time. Like, I'm not saying
Oh,
we're
no,
gonna
no,
do
no,
a
no,
lot.
no, but, like,
I want you to be
we
able
do
to
need to do
this
the walkthroughs
The
and-
winter, it's just as soon as you can get Steve
Yeah.
there and y'all can prove it, then I think we're all good.
Yeah.
But,
So I move that we approve the loop around below the dam to start right away, and that the remainder need to go through the NERP assessment,
Okay.
so that, yeah, you guys can get started on that aspect, since it's already been cleared through the Corps of Engineers.
So maybe we just we'll make a motion just for that loop down there.
that's
Yeah.
what she
So is that what your motion
Okay.
is?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was
my
Chris's,
motion.
so Chris's motion, Rod second.
I'm just so
Okay.
excited.
Discussion? I know you're excited. Excited discussion now? We're not going to talk about a name right now? Just figure that
We
out
can
later.
name it later
Honestly.
if we, you know.
Approve the work on it? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Cool. Number 2 should be quicker than that. So on the 2023 budget, we had Christmas bonuses. So I was asking HR, you know, like, how do I do this? You know, what's the best way? And I think probably the way we'll do it is we'll just, it'll be tacked on to the paycheck before Christmas, like the
Yeah.
closest paycheck before
Always
Christmas.
better.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I think one year we got prepaid Visa cards, but I think that's sort of frowned on from, you know, auditing purposes. You know, it's kind of like a
Yeah, it's
little
more
bit-
of a gift
Yeah,
than
than a bonus.
and bonus. And, yeah, we talked about that the other day. You can't pay them without going through the payroll. So unfortunately, if we want to do that, it's probably best to get it done
Yeah.
and in the works.
Yeah.
Is all your staff getting Christmas bonus?
Okay, yeah, so the way it's laid out in the 2023 budget is that each full-time employee gets $200, and then each part-time employee gets $100 as a Christmas bonus. I can't remember, I took mine off, it either wasn't on there or I took it off, but the question kind of comes into like, okay, if they started in August, like, do we prorate it, or do we, what's that?
You kind of do. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my thought is, if they at least started in the first half of the year, then maybe. But if the second half of the year,
Yeah.
you know, maybe you put a divider. I don't know if it's by quarter, but it's not enough money.
Quarter
to,
makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe
Quarter,
by quarter.
yeah.
Like first quarter, if they were here first
Oh,
quarter,
okay,
then they get the
okay.
whole thing. Second.
So I
thing,
don't need to prorate it to like to the day,
No,
but like,
no,
okay,
no. Just yeah, by the
Quarter's a good idea.
yeah.
okay. I'd even thought, you know, like you could take because we can look up their total number of hours that everyone's worked up to a certain point and, kind of add that in. But I like the quarter thing because I can't see the future. Like, I mean, I can assume they're going to work all the way through the year, but,
Yeah, how
So
many
just do
quarters,
quarter.
how many quarters they were here this year?
okay. And just take 200 divided by,
I know if I was an employee that was here all year, and I got the same bonus as an employee that was here for 3 months, I would not quite feel good about
Correct.
that.
yeah,
You know,
okay.
so,
I think quarter's good because if you start breaking it down too much, like if you look at the hours they've worked and all that, no.
Yeah.
You'll drive yourself nuts and set a precedent for the future that nobody else is going to want to do either. So
right.
Yeah,
make it
Good
something
point.
that's easy to.
okay. I
They
just need,
didn't have bonuses last year, correct?
I guess, so HR, Jerry down at HR asked, that I can let him know as early as tomorrow how we're going to do it, but to approve it, he would need minutes signed from this meeting at the next meeting.
Do we need to motion?
So we'd have to make a motion to approve,
I
Christmas
motion that we
bonuses. of
approve the
course.
Christmas bonuses for
I-
the staff as budgeted, and that they should be prorated based on, by quarter.
I'll second that.
Ms. Carissa and Mark, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Christmas bonuses are approved.
Beaver at Black Bass
Okay, but
Lake.
Sam,
Oh, sorry.
just to clarify what you just said, we won't have minutes for this meeting until next meeting, but
Mhm.
can he go ahead and process it if he,
No, but he just wants to know ahead of time,
That we will have minutes.
and then that way, I think the last pay period before Christmas is like 22nd or something like that, and
and we
I'll
have a
have the
meeting,
minutes.
we'll have
We
meeting
have a
before
meeting on
that?
the 19th, and we can vote on that.
Okay,
On the 20th, I go down,
okay. I just want to make sure we got
or email
got that
them
in
copy.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe it's the Beaver.
19th. Okay.
I'm excited about the beaver.
Beaver. We saw evidence of it when we walked that trail that day. We saw evidence of it.
So we have a beaver
Is that good?
at Black Bass Lake.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more. I'm going to go back to.
Oh,
Christmas
yeah,
bonus.
sorry, go.
I just
Yeah.
want to say that if Jerry says anything, well, you really can't do it by quarter, there's a law against that. Just let us know and we can always figure something out. I don't think
Okay.
he would, but
Okay.
make sure Jerry's okay with the motion,
The
the way it's
one-
worded and everything.
The first year I was working as the trails person, I got a bonus, but it was prorated. So I think it's okay if we prorate them, but,
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
I think we
okay.
can do whatever we want.
okay.
Okay.
Hey.
Yes, we can. We're part
I like it.
I mean, he decides that for his staff. We just say yes to it, yes. Okay, sorry, back to the beaver at Black Bass Lake.
So this is sort of a contentious issue. That's why I'm just bringing it out into the open, because I don't want to do anything under the cover of darkness. There's a beaver down there. It's cutting down a lot of trees. And all these trees are falling right in the Standing Rock Trail. It's like every week Jeff has to go down there and cut trees out of the trail.
Wow.
And it's just getting to a point where it's like,
So do
at what
we,
point do we need to do something about it? Because
do we need to have it relocated, and do we need to get the state involved in that?
we don't need the state involved.
So
I've asked USDA if they do that, and they do. The issue is
where to take it?
they relocate it to a more permanent location,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean, and it also costs a lot of money.
Osage Park used to have a beaver, and I think they lost their beaver.
Maybe they want ours.
Yeah, we can sell it to them.
Because, I mean, it's, they're trying to create a wetland with, I think they brought the beaver in, and then, I don't know what happened.
Wow.
But, what?
I just said, wow.
Yeah, wow, it's right.
I know, we obviously don't need wetlands down in Black Bass Lake,
No.
No.
so it's sort of like, it's not a necessary part of the ecosystem there. I know how people feel about it. I mean, especially on that south end of the lake, it cleared out a lot of the trees and a lot of wildflowers grew, which is great on that south side because it gets all that sun.
Right.
On this north side, it's like, it's not a place that's wildflowers are going to really prosper. So it's like, it just feels like it's gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, we need to, before the whole forest is decimated.
It's a
over there,
nuisance,
it's
just like the feral pigs are a nuisance. They're animals, and we don't want to
Yeah,
kill our fellow beings on this planet any more than we have to, but we have to get rid of the feral pigs. We have to get rid of feral beavers sometimes, I guess.
How do
Feral beef.
how do we catch how do we catch that thing? I mean, if we wanted to.
Well, I mean, there's
Is there
options.
traps
I mean,
for
I
it?
hate to be, morbid here, but there's kill traps, and there's non-kill
Traps.
traps, and it's like, I mean, we could try the non-kill trap first and see, but
No, absolutely.
I have a
We've got to.
feeling it's
Right.
not going to be successful, but
Well,
Are they
do
clever?
Are there not experts that you can bring in that would advise us
I
rather
mean,
than
I
us
got a
trying
guy
to
at
figure out?
USDA who said he could
What?
come and, show us, but he would show us, obviously the snare traps, but I mean, if I can find someone
That would be-
local, and that's why I'm kind of putting it out in the open. I'm like, hey, if someone knows
Yeah.
how to use a live catch trap and wants to
Yeah.
help us, like, please.
What
We actually
size-
had a local donate us a live catch trap, so we have one,
Okay.
but
Big enough one for a beaver?
I don't know how big these things are. But,
Traps or the beavers?
I mean, the beaver could be huge.
Yes.
Yeah, they can get pretty big.
Where there's one beaver, isn't there two? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, how many are we dealing with? And I just wish they would stay off the trail.
Anybody at Game and Fish that you know that might know about?
I've called, I've definitely
Nobody?
done some looking into it, but it's just one of those things where it's sort of always in the back of our heads, and then Monday morning rolls around and there's another tree down report. But,
So are
I-
we asking for public assistance?
oh, yeah, that'd be great.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Because it isn't easy. We tried, we had a live trap for groundhog.
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
And they are classified
It's
as
just-
Then you get it.
a
Ignored it.
big nuisance animal.
Yeah, they're
Now, my
classified that way.
Cantaloupe is the.
Tried cantaloupe.
I did get rid of my groundhog and took him out, and then last year, he keeps getting underneath my deck, and then, so this year, I put fencing around my deck, I'd done everything. After he eats gigantic pots of everything, and then, so I got him this year, but,
You have to spray paint them when you relocate them because they come back.
I think for my 2 cents on this one is, I would want us to do as much as we could to
Agreed.
non-kill.
Me too.
Agreed.
And then if we can't, I mean, you'll have to do what you have to do, and what is the term, best course of action for all parks. I mean, I'm trying to think of those
mean,
words.
yeah,
But
we're sort of-
How do they typically deal with beavers that they don't want?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what is the best?
Benchmarking and
Yeah.
what's best practice.
What's best
Yeah.
practice is what I was really.
That's what I was saying,
Yeah.
someone at Game and Fish probably probably already have a plan for beaver.
I would think so.
But we cannot have them destroying the
But call
forest.
Osage, just ask them if they want a beaver.
Yeah.
If they want a beaver.
Let 'em come get it.
I would
Come get
Yeah,
ours.
choose
I'd
your
be
words carefully.
ecstatic.
Well, do you have a problem that it would return if you no kill and deliver it someplace else? Are they like
I think I'd
dogs
deliver
that
it.
come back home after
I
5
would
years?
deliver it really far away.
Okay, I get that. I'm with you on that. But if it does return, or if there's two, like you're saying, does the second one not get caught and you don't realize it, then we've got a continuing problem going on.
Yeah, I mean, we would, if we caught one and then we obviously don't know how many there are there, but if we
Right.
caught one and then we kept seeing damage, we would obviously,
Because if you're saying he's having to clean the trails often, there might be more than 2 or 3.
yeah, it could be.
Because they're all downing trees, that's a big problem.
Yeah. No, it's a lot.
Any camera kind
I
of
was
action?
going to say, we could put up cameras and see if we could get some, start to identify.
Yeah.
But again, surely there's a state department that
Yeah,
would do that.
I mean, USDA does it, but, they quoted, essentially they gave us a quote, it was like $1,500, and it's not really any guarantee. It's like, we'll
True.
come set up these traps, and they're also snare traps, so, I mean, I was a little
Well,
hesitant on that.
there's individuals you can hire to take out any animal, like, what do you call those kind of people?
Like Boba Fett.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Rodent,
python hunters and things you see in the Everglades, those kind of people. There are people who do it for a living too, so worst
rodent
comes to
removal.
worst. Yeah, like those kind of companies. You can call someone, they can come get it.
I mean, we'd even be willing to contract it out to an extent. I mean, I think $1,500 is too much, but,
Yeah.
we'd be willing to help out, pay for a little bit of the time involved and associated with
Maybe we
that.
turn that into a fundraising event. beaver hunt.
That'd be a
like
good
it.
one.
First one who catches it gets
Mike's
the
Blues
trail
Beaver
named
Hunt.
after them
Yeah.
for the year.
To make a hat out of it. Okay. So
Okay,
yeah,
well,
so that's all we know, I guess. We're telling you, that's all we know too, so I guess we'll just keep working on it. Anything else about the beaver at Black Bass Lake?
just someone please help us.
Public, you hear that?
You might have
Okay.
a really big beaver problem. No, there might be a whole family of
Might be,
them.
all living in a dam in the water or something.
Especially if that many trees are coming down that often.
Okay, are we ready to move on to budget? Yes? Okay. 2024 budget. It says, Mark, are you want to talk about this, or is this a Sam
It's
thing?
a Sam thing.
I mean, so you guys saw the budget at the last
Yes.
workshop. I mean, I've kind of gone and done the edits that we recommended, but I mean, this isn't really a review of the budget per se. It's more of a review of the wish list items you guys asked for.
Just have some things that we're thinking about.
Yeah. So as far as employee structure, I mean, it's going to stay pretty much the same. I would like to move Jeremy into more gardening, into more of a head gardener role. That's where his passion is. That's, he's good at a lot of things, but I think that's where his heart is. And I want to make sure, he's doing what he likes to do.
Not only that, I think that we are desperate for a head gardener that's passionate about it again. Like, it's been a while. Like, we really need to get the springs and stuff where somebody
Yeah.
takes ownership and long-term ownership, not one season at a time, but
Yeah.
long-term ownership of these springs.
Although
It
the
is.
springs are amazing. Every time I go down there, I'm always amazed. It's just like magical. Walking around the springs is magical.
I
But
agree, too.
agreed, we do need somebody that will, continue that magic.
I will admit that this last month, I've gone by the springs like 5 or 6 different times, and Jeremy's there. He's working away, and you
Christmas.
can tell he is. Well, that too, but I mean, they were planting.
Okay.
And it's like, wow, he's really
Yeah.
busy with it.
That's what he loves. So
So you would create this position or become head gardener rather than just
yes.
gardener, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he'd still be kind of overseeing other things in the grounds, but I guess his title wouldn't necessarily change, but just sort of the percentage of time where he's spending in each location would change. I like the proportion to be more gardens rather than, other stuff that he's being asked to do. So,
Well, that makes sense too, because that's the visible part of us, to the tourists and to the mayor and to townspeople and
Visitors and tourists.
visitors.
we have really good news on that part, though, because obviously, even if Jeremy can work 25, 30 hours in the springs, it's, we still need more hours, especially in the spring and summertime. We actually just hired on a local who I'm sure all of you know as a contractor to help us out with the gardens. So, and she's pretty awesome. So
Okay, good.
she knows the gardens better than anyone else. So it's
Okay.
good to have her, so she can kind of fill in the void of Jeremy not being able to spend 40 hours a week every single week there.
Right.
And she's just contract labor, that's just
Contract labor,
for a
yeah.
certain amount of time, and then
Yeah.
when we don't need
Or
her, we
for a
don't need
certain
her.
amount of funding, I can allocate X amount of dollars towards this position. Once it's up, it's up, and we can review and discuss if we want to, further budget or budget more in there, but, another change would be the assistant manager position at Lake Leatherwood, which I think I mentioned in the last workshop. I think it would be really helpful for there to be someone when Juanita's not there, to be a little bit of a hierarchy, a little bit of structure. So when Juanita's not there, she obviously has days off like we all do, and occasionally she gets sick or whatever. So someone who can come in and step up whenever she's not there and answer the questions needed. That way we're not bothering her too much on her days off. So,
I'm sure they could do more as well. I also think, Juanita's done a great job, and she spends a lot of her time on the admin stuff.
Mhm.
So maybe if you can kind of put a lot of the admin, so that Juanita's doing more of the strategy and the,
Research and,
yeah,
yeah, planning.
sort of, I know that there's been talk about having more of a learning center.
Mhm.
There's a lot that could be done in terms of developing both from a, commercial and educational perspective. So-
Also, I mean, I think that we've talked about this for at least as long as I've been on the commission, is creating a more of a hierarchical environment where people can move up.
Yes.
Right.
And they have a place
Yes.
to go, and it's not just like
Flat.
linear.
Yeah.
It's a flat.
And it helps you in terms of reporting, and that kind of thing. I think if we look at the 10-year picture, we would love to see a really career-based sort of job creator for the parks and people being here long-term, because they're not stuck,
That's a good point.
at $12 an hour for the rest of their life. They have
Yeah.
somewhere else to go. So I'd like us to just, we can maybe take baby steps. We obviously don't have the budget to do it all in one day, but we can do it over a period of years to where we can really create
Yeah.
a career path.
And I bet if you benchmarked with other parks that are of a similar size, they have a lot more staff.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and they are probably doing a lot of the same things, but just with more staff.
And more money.
So I think I think to expect one person to handle that is a lot.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, other than those two sort of modifications, I mean, pretty much team structure will stay the same. I mean, it's such a small team, it's not like we have a whole lot of hierarchy that we need to create, but, there needs to be some for sure.
Right, and I think, that last year, doing it, we had Susan's role, for example, which was part-time, but has Susan ever really worked part-time? Like, let's make that role what it really is, not,
It's like it's just under every week.
so we really need to make that role what it really is, and not, because we don't have a lot of wiggle room in our salary structure, because it takes up half of our budget as it is, right? So we want to make sure that we're getting as much out of that as we can, and calling that a part-time job, I don't think it's ever been a part-time job. I've
Yeah.
never been there when Susan's not there doing
On
something.
paper it is, but yeah.
That whole position needs to be kind of remodeled somehow.
Yeah, almost assistant director kind of thing, really.
Yeah, with the,
I mean, just ponder that as you're going through that.
yeah, look, that office needs a director, an assistant director, some administrative help. What we have now is Sam, and Susan, and Nikki, and they're doing various things based on what their skill set is and what they do. But when you back up away from the people and look at what the positions that the office needs, it's kind of, they don't really match right now. But that's because that's what our budget's been and what we've done. So.
Does it make sense, and I'm not saying it does, I'm asking the question, because obviously a lot of the positions are historical, and some of them are obvious, like gardener and trails and whatever. Does it make sense for the other, non-obvious ones to step back and go, okay, where is the parks going? What do you see it going in future? What capabilities what are the business capabilities, and then do we have the right roles to deliver on those capabilities? And maybe just, it doesn't have to be for this budget, but maybe something to do next year. Because you can get into this is the way we've always done it without thinking, well, actually, what we want to do is more public events like the Jamborica, or we want to, have more education, or we want to, where are you going, and do you have the roles that are going to take you there?
It's a good reminder to keep up that thought process, because we did do that in order to create the position that Juanita has right now. We stepped back and said,
We did.
where are we going? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We said, we need someone to, after Stephanie was gone, we changed what that position was based on where we think we're going, so.
And maybe it's
Wouldn't
something
mind
we
her to
do
always
every
do
other year. You know, with obviously the input and the guidance from the Parks Director, but yeah.
Be part of the budget discussion every year before, pre-budget discussion.
Yeah, my main thing is just making sure we have a team where if someone is out, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like if someone needs to take a few days off because they're sick or they want to go on vacation, which everyone has the right to do, which, by the way, y'all are lucky. Don't worry, I'm going to be taking my vacation soon. Building a house. But, I mean, really, I mean, you just don't want the world to implode when one person can't make it.
Absolutely.
So,
Right.
I mean,
And operations are always priority number one. But if
Yeah.
all you're able to focus on is operations, you don't get to the strategic stuff that will make you grow and improve
Yeah.
and continue to meet.
And unfortunately, until we have a scenario where our revenue stream is higher, I don't know how we get there, you know?
I do. I have ideas. I think
You-
we need to maybe have some workshops to talk about, you know, how could we increase the revenue?
Yeah.
If you think about the parks, every bit of it is an asset. And we're choosing not to monetize it, but you can. You know, within the remit of the bylaws and within the,
Yeah, and we really can, we have a lot of flexibility to do a lot of things. We just have to do it one thing at a time, not try to look at
And
the
do it well.
gigantic picture and do one
Yes.
thing well.
Yes.
You know, right?
But-
And then maybe do another thing well. Well, then, you know.
it's helpful to kind of have okay, we may only want to do one thing at a time, but this is kind of the general direction that we're going so that you're aligned, whereas otherwise you end up with one thing like this.
That's it. And we have thought of things along the way, like you said, we've remodeled the cabins to make sure we're charging enough for them. We've added the what are those little camping things called, the bike tents?
The
You know,
mini
we-
cabins?
Mini cabins,
Yeah.
thank you. We've added different
Which are
revenue
adorable.
streams, and increasing revenue is important. I think that's the only way to get more administrative staff, to get a better team. But you're right, we don't have an overall long-term plan for, these are the 10 steps that we need to make 10 things we can do to increase revenue. Are any of them possible? Are all 10 possible? What order should they go in? Sounds like long-term planning committee stuff.
and it's like, it's funny too, because like all the things that we can do to,
Do you have a,
it seems like most of the things we can do to
That-
make
that-
more
that-
money or.
Yeah, the list of revenue streams and how to get there, and that's a good idea.
okay.
Okay, back to your team structure. I think we've got that, the head gardener, you think the assistant Lake Leatherwood manager, that's the only real
And
changes?
these are things that we'll vote on in the budget.
Right,
like
they're
when
the
it's
only
all
changes you're looking
together.
at, okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then, what else is on your your wish list?
Yeah, so basin park improvements, you know, when I first started this job, it's like I was the trails person, so when I took over, I was like, okay, I know all these things that need to happen out at Lake Leatherwood, so it was like focus on Leatherwood, took over, you know, and kind of implemented those ideas that I had. Now that I've had time to kind of assess Springs and other entities or parks, I've realized, okay, Basin Park needs to be our next thing that we bite off. Obviously, we got those conceptual plans from McClellan. I mean, we just can't afford $1 million, but what we can do is try to pick and choose things that won't necessarily be super expensive, one. Number two, won't have to get, you know, destroyed again whenever we dig it out. So I'm trying to focus on things that are movable, things that are like outside of that kind of main level zone there.
Do we have, I know we've talked about it, but do we have a list of this is the things that need to be done?
Well, that's funny you should ask. I've kind of put together just a wish list, and I'm also presenting it to CAPC to see if they would help us out with any kind of funding for these things, because, I mean, they utilize the park as much as we do, and more, they have as much of a presence in the park as we do, so. The south entrance, that's what this photo is here, and that's already been approved by HDC.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
I don't even know that, I mean, that
A
has
rail
to
is,
happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
a rail is a very good idea next to traffic.
I can't believe, you were the one that mentioned it, Mark, about how dangerous it is, and I didn't even notice it till you mentioned that. It is terrifying. I
Yeah.
mean, it's better with the railing that's there, but it's still scary.
Well, even that wooden railing's starting to come apart because adhered to stones that are falling apart, and so it's just like, what do you?
This being metal and nice.
Yeah,
Great.
it'll be nice.
Mhm.
And it, just flows into the park much nicer, as opposed. I think a lot of people get to this point, the bottom of the stairs where they are now, and they're kind of like, do I go up there, or where am I
Yeah,
going?
And they
Yeah.
think that they can walk along the
true.
the
Yeah, they
wall.
do.
Yeah, they do. They walk along the wall right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
That is a very clear, like,
it is.
This is the way you go.
Please, come up here, welcome.
we will corral you.
It ties in nicely with, like, where they took out, like that bit they did at that intersection.
Yeah.
What was it, the Main Street? Where people were going where they shouldn't. Yeah.
And they
This,
still go
again,
that way. It's like they still
They
cross
do.
the street and they walk around the wall and they go right to,
I don't think that's ever going to stop. But
No.
But this,
I cannot
you'd have to
confirm or deny
really,
that I've
I guess you probably will still get people going around the railings and down the road, but less.
Less.
Yeah,
Well, the railing could continue a little further to the left.
No, then we
Yeah.
just had to get more garland for Christmas. So no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so no.
I'll pay
oh
for
my God,
that.
All right, but
that's my favorite comment of the night right there. Yeah, and I think the issue there too, I mean, we're not going to do it, but yeah, the issue would be that we would be on someone else's property at that point. So, yeah, yeah. Which I don't think they would object, but
okay, so Sam, are you just telling us this because that's one of the things we're
And this was-
we're talking about right now?
yeah.
Shared
So I'm
budget?
showing you this because it's already been approved by HTC. I'm really working, digging in on CAPC to see if we can
Yeah, they,
get some funding because I think this would be a big hit.
If we could get, like, I'm assuming this is, you're showing us because you've already got it approved and
Yeah.
it's one of your high priority. But if we could get kind of these are the things we want to do and maybe start to go, okay, well, let's prioritize these this year, these the next year, kind of work through
well, we definitely have
what
to
we
get
think
benches.
we can do.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and I've made a little list of things, and these things are like really they're things that aren't huge financial hits, and I think they make a lot of sense. For example, they're on the McClellan plans as well, but the rework of the second tier, so like that area where the bricks are and the boxwoods and all that. I'd like to rip out all those boxwoods and then put a handrail across and then a walkway. You look like you're not
Yeah, I'm
sure.
trying to decide
On the
where
back.
that is.
Above, so you have the park that you walk
Yeah.
across the next level.
The next level, it's
It
like
takes
5
you
feet
to
from the
the-
main
Where you
level.
see kids
Amphitheater.
walking across and you can kind of hold your breath when they're on there because
Because
Yeah.
they shouldn't be. Yeah, I got it. So you're going to basically just, make that a walkway area.
I mean, it's either that or like electric fencing up there where we could.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's a natural place where people want to go because there's a staircase on
Yeah.
either side
Yes.
that's like saying, hey,
Yes, there
come
is.
up here and enjoy this space, or,
Would it
explore,
be
but
possible to get seating up there?
potentially.
they could probably put
Yeah.
some benches
Benches would be
occasionally across
lovely.
against the wall.
Yeah, maybe they could even
Maybe.
like curve and contour with the wall back there.
You mean against the lower?
For the
Or like up
purposes-
on the second tier.
For the purposes of budget, which is, I'm assuming why we're even talking about this.
Yes,
Yeah.
We need to get estimates.
12,000.
That's it for this?
Mhm.
I'm pretty happy with that, actually, because I would have thought that would be more than that. So, okay, yeah, just put that in the budget. I think nobody would argue with this
We
having to be
need
done.
No, that's
to do
necessary.
it.
Yeah.
Now
And
that
this
it's
might
been
be,
pointed out.
if you guys are comfortable, like honestly, this might be one of those things where, it's a safety issue right now.
It's a
That
safety
handrail is like a disaster waiting to happen. We could go ahead and initiate this, and then I could maybe see if we could get any reimbursement, as sort of like a,
Yeah,
I think we need to do it.
I think you go do an assessment of what we have in our funding left, like right now,
Yeah.
how we're looking budget to budget.
Yeah.
And if we have any place, I don't think, I wouldn't argue with it at all.
Yep.
Especially for a safety thing.
I feel like this has to be done, but this is another one of the things that, when it comes to Basin Park, I feel like the city and CAPC and us almost need to be holding hands through the la la land of doing everything together.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we cannot start taking on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
This is important. This almost feels like city to me more than even CAPC. This is like public works kind of to me.
We
you
make
know.
a proposal that we split the costs. I mean, if
Absolutely.
you're right. I mean, if we each pitched in.
Yeah, this would be,
He's going to,
That'd
this
be a
would
no-brainer
make
if each-
so- Well, it makes no,
you know,
it's
yeah.
no-brainer, period, but
Yeah.
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 So how do we make that proposal, that we have a coordinated Basin Park improvement plan for the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, we've got to
We've
come up
been-
with a plan.
We have been talking about it.
it for friggin'
We
ever.
have.
but I think we were at the time we were waiting for the McClellan things and some more concrete numbers to look at and some decisions, and that's kind of where we got
Yeah,
stopped.
I mean,
think.
there's a lot of momentum. I mean, I'll be honest, there's a lot of momentum coming on the CAPC side of things too. Because they know, I mean, they know how much they use the park, and they know how much business Basin Park brings in, and they want it to look nice. And
Needs
And they also did
facelift.
ask you to come to them with specific things, right?
yes, which I did. I mean,
Was
I-
this one of them?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is gorgeous, but it does need a facelift. And I guess it does feel like we've been talking about it for a while, waiting for what
3
took
years.
forever
Mhm.
to get from.
At least.
Yeah, but I think, do we have enough information to come up with concrete recommendations?
Oh yeah, I mean, we have that McClellan design. I mean, that's like,
Awesome.
I mean, to be honest, those were not things that I had thought of those things before the design plan, but it's nice to have that like on a piece of paper from actual engineers who say, yes, this is how it should be.
Good.
So the other thing would be, you know, the second tier rework. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking out the boxwood plants. They've gotten a lot of control, redoing the surface, you know, with either brick or stamped concrete, putting a handrail up there. And then also widening the stairs up to the band shelf. Right now the stairway is like this wide. I mean, David can probably attest to how narrow it is. And I mean, a drummer trying to get the equipment up there.
Equipment, yeah, it's hard.
impossible. And the stairs are starting to fall apart anyway. So these are all things I'm going to try to get funding for. So, I mean, it's like, so long as we're okay with the ideas of them, then
Yeah.
I think.
For sure.
Repainting the gazebo and the band shell and the bell. Those are pretty obvious things. The only thing we could discuss is the band shell, like how intricate do we want it to be?
Well, we know that's going to be a major expense to get the band shell.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I'm just talking about repainting it. I
Oh,
mean,
sorry.
yeah. We could,
So I wouldn't think we'd spend a lot of money on it because we know whatever we do might get undone when we,
yeah, exactly.
because the band shell needs,
Mostly it's just
serious
like the
structural
trim
work.
up there. It's starting to look
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit.
Just
like
put a little
just needs
paint on
fresh
it.
coat. Yeah.
freshen it up.
And then the bench refurbish, like Mark was saying, I am working on that. I actually took one of the wooden benches up to Dustin's shop building. He's going to refurbish it. And that way we can show it off and be like, hey, this is what they could look like. And I think I might have gotten some interest from the Preservation Society to fund that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, when I drive by there, I mean, that's all I see. I mean, I don't even see everything else, just the benches that are falling apart. And
They are falling
somebody's sitting on one, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody overweight sits on that one because it's going to crash. They look really bad, so we've got to do that. If we
Yeah.
do nothing else,
Yeah.
it's got to be done.
So would we have any money in the budget this year, not just for the stairs, but also for the benches?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I'm like pretty confident we're going to get funding for this stuff. So either we could do it now or we could just wait.
Just wait and see what CAPC says.
I mean, I just
It
hate the
does
stairway
seem
thing
fair
because it
that
is
we
a
should
safety
share the
thing.
cost.
That handrail's
But just-
killing me.
Wait, yeah.
Honestly, Sam, I feel like we could come up with the money for the stairway thing.
I know, I just, if it's something that could, not that we couldn't put that money towards something else at,
No, but what I'm saying is if we felt like we wanted to to do it, even if we don't have the money from them yet
Yeah.
this year, and you feel
This
like
is
we
all
could
just
get-
like hypothetical too.
we could, if we could get it going,
Yeah.
and you feel like, you know, we've got a slot for that money, I think this is just so, this is a public benefit across the board.
And you also can't wait on kind of weather. If you wait too long and it gets too cold, you can't
Yeah.
pour concrete. You can't
True.
start putting stones
That's
up
true.
with concrete. So you can't really wait too long.
I just wonder if there's a good window. I'd hate to do it during a time when town is busy, you know, just because it's like, you know, we're trying to,
Town is always busy. but
Yeah,
this
because
is
what are you going to do with
Unless
it?
you're in January, February, which
Yeah.
is a horrible time.
yeah.
And you can't do concrete.
Well,
in
that's
that.
why you're the director.
Okay,
You figured that out.
okay,
January, between Christmas and Mardi Gras.
okay, perfect. Bathhouse renovations, I mean, it's all just sort of like, you know, I mean, the one thing we have to just be careful of, I mean, we could try to look into it and see if there's small stuff we can do, small, like financially speaking. The issue is that I think the majority of the watershed grant payments are going to show up in 2024, which is, you know, $55,000. So I'm kind of like, do we just wait on the bathhouse till we're
But is
free
it
and
some of it
clear?
like kind? Like, do we have,
No, I mean, there's a portion of the grant that we are liable for, like just straight up cash. That's $55,000, and I'm pretty sure it's all going to be
next year?
Over
coming
next
up
year.
towards the very end of this year and next
That
year.
we have to spend. Good.
Yeah.
I mean,
We should be getting their portion of stuff soon then.
Yeah, we'll get all the data that they generate from that, and then Sandy from the Watershed Assessment, Watershed Alliance, can hopefully take that information and use it to get grants to
Shouldn't we
hopefully
have
dredge
some
the
kind
lake.
of grant report, like that shows how much they spent, how much we've spent? I mean, I know that
Yes.
back in the day, I used to do
You have
grants,
to.
believe it or not, when I was young, and I had to send in
Yes.
I don't know, an annual report of
Oh, yeah.
everything that happened. So there's
Yeah,
got to
we've
be
been
something.
we've been doing quarterly reports. Stephen is
Oh, yeah.
managing the grant, so
I've seen the quarterly reports.
if you guys ever want to see them, they're
I would
available.
like to see the most recent one, if you just put it out on the thing.
Yeah, those are all. I think it's once a quarter, then we get some kind of reimbursement from the grant money for like matching stuff. But like I said, there's $55,000 that we're just liable for that.
So that's there.
That's the money.
And
Didn't we budget some for that this year, though?
We did, but we weren't really sure how it was going to pan out. I think we just budgeted for it because we weren't sure
Okay.
if it was going to happen. But I mean, we paid a little bit of it.
But not, we didn't
But
use
not-
that whole amount?
No.
Okay.
And like you just said, Sam, the bathhouse renovations, committing to anything right now, yeah, that they're big on the wish list, but they're also, I don't think they're any more crucial than they were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They're the same old ratty bathhouses that people, they're not ratty, sorry. They're much fixed up from what they
I
were.
found some mice in there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, you know, you've cleaned them out. Juanita's done a lot of,
Yeah.
her crew, they look, they just look old and kind of vintage. They don't look nasty or anything like that. They look good. But someday
Yeah.
that building does need to be renovated, so, but that's
I
not
think-
right now.
I think we should have a workshop on the bathhouse, because I think the bathhouse is an asset that we are not utilizing and that is just wasted in terms of all that space. And what's there does need to be revamped, personally.
Oh, yeah,
You know, you think about what amenities people expect when they come camping.
Oh, yeah.
And also people that are in a park, what amenities they expect. I don't think we're delivering on that.
No. And I didn't mean to put off the bathhouse forever. I just meant for,
Yeah, but I think if we do the planning and the workshop, we could be in a good position to do the work next year. But I think it should be self-funding to some extent. So I think, and I have an action that I forgot to send you guys, that matching grant information. Because I think we should think about putting aside some money, you know, whatever it is, 50, 75, whatever, that we would then apply for the matching grant, that we would then, at the end of the year, be able to start work on what we want to do for that bathhouse. and there's a public comment and we get people involved, I think it's worth it. Or we should think about Harmon Park, one of the two. So, but yeah, I'll send you guys that. I forgot.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm gonna have to bail. I think we're at 7:30.
Yeah, it's getting late.
Got
Yeah.
family coming over.
Do you want to, anything else we need to vote on before you leave?
We could,
Minutes.
yeah, and we could vote on
Let's,
price increases, but it's really not important because we're doing our 20% off right now, so it would be dumb to increase rates while we're trying to lower rates.
Yeah.
So we can just hold
Yeah.
off on that, but
yeah, you can let us know.
I was just
And-
letting you know that in the budget, we're going to plan on doing a 10% increase for boat rentals, lodging, and then,
Hey, what might be a good idea, and I think Scott did this before, just took a whole list of all of your rates for everything, and just highlight the ones that are increasing.
Yeah.
And then when we vote on, we just say, you know,
Across the board.
across
Yeah.
however you submitted them.
I guess this will be like February's commission meetings when we'll probably vote on this stuff, so
Okay.
it's not like a huge rush, but.
Okay.
Then let's,
That's it, isn't it, for the rest of the wish list, other than
Yeah,
we
we
go,
just
we
have
get
the
more
minutes,
detail later.
really.
And let's go to the minutes. Oh, no, commissioner comments. Chris, anything? Jonathan?
Nope.
I want to, real quick, I know she's trying to get, I did go out there for the dam, and I know Carissa did too, and I walked the whole entire thing. And I know Sue has some valid concerns about the big equipment over the natural environment, and yes, but sometimes you have to look at the greater good, and the greater good was definitely met
Yeah.
by
Amazing.
the bridge being functional, the water going under the bridge. It looks beautiful out there, and I say to the public, if you haven't gone out there, definitely go out there. You can go around the whole entire lake without getting soaking wet. Your dogs aren't coming in back in the car with wet feet. Your kids aren't soaking wet, and it's really beautiful and nice. So yes, I do hear her concerns, and I do think they're valid. I'm not invalidating them because you have to pay attention to that, and we did. We cared, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to make that. So it looks fantastic, and I applaud you guys for doing it. It's good.
I agree.
Yeah,
And I agree. Sue's got a good point, and it's good to have people paying attention, but we always remember that parks and recreation and people using the park involves equipment and changes. This is it's not a nature preserve. That part of the park is definitely a park that is used by people and needs to be safe, needs to be handled in a way where people can go around the loop and all that. So we have to find balance, and that's why we have the NERP and why we have a commission and why we have good employees. So all good. Okay. Rod, any commissioner comments?
No comment.
Okay, let's move on to meetings. Let's approve these so that, or you want to do them separately or together?
Let me look at these real quick, just to save the dates. I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from September 19th and from October the 17th, as presented by Sam, I guess, through Dropbox. I hope everybody got
Dropbox,
those.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Mark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Go ahead.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting minutes from October 17, 2023 and September 19, 2023 are approved. So that's it, right? Other than a motion to adjourn?
So moved to adjourn.
Rod, a second?
Second.
Mark, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. We are adjourned. Thank you.